happy.
Oh no!
Oh,
I got stuff falling down. I don't know how that happened.
happy Monday.
It is Monday.
It is
As
Monday.
if that wasn't proof enough.
If we officially know that it's Monday because we were in here yesterday. It was nice. While we missed you all, it was nice not to be here.
It wasn't a rainy day. It was
very
actually
nice
a perfect day to do some yard work. To be honest with you,
it really was a great day.
Not that the two of us are not distracted, sharing our watch parties.
It was nice. It really was. It was nice to just chill out, enjoy the weather. It was a little cool in the morning. I was a little worried, and then it got nice and warm. And so I hope everybody had a nice weekend.
Nice. I thought it was a perfect day.
Yeah. Welcome to Live from Rabs from inside Rabs Country Lanes.
Here we are.
It's Monday, episode 81.
Super quiet today.
It is super quiet today. We don't have
no snack bar, no Gennaro's, no Jimmy. Oh, well, Jimmy's here.
Jimmy's in the bar. He's got a project.
Okay. No Piero. Liz isn't here. Ray is inside working, and it's really quiet.
So it is. I just picked up on something that's been happening for weeks, and I never really noticed what it was. So until now. So Kevin writes something. And this is not the first time I've noticed this, but it's the first time that I'm actually recognizing it because I never understood it. When you go on to a video, it says, say something
so
to let people know you're here. And so Kevin is writing something.
That's Kevin.
I just figured that out. I look at it every day, and I just, yeah.
Right.
Finally.
Now you got it.
I got it. Did you notice? Did you know that?
No. I don't. Sometimes you hide the feed from me.
Well, because if we're trying to do something else,
I understand.
It depends. I don't usually hide that. I don't always hide the feed.
Okay. Well, sometimes I can't see it.
Put your glasses on.
But it's there. I see it now.
Well, when we first start, everybody comes in and says,
I know.
Hello.
It's fine. It's
yes,
good
it
to
took
see
us
everybody.
long enough for sure.
Hi, Dennis and Olivia and Miss Ann Hastings is with us today.
Hi, Pearl. So one of the things that there are things coming off the walls, going up on the walls, painting. There are these little things. So Jimmy has a little pet project. He's in the bar doing some touch-ups. But check this out. One of the things that he's working on, and this was an idea that came out of us sitting here on a regular basis. We were talking about, somebody was asking about the, I think Pam specifically brought up, Pam likes the name of the bar, Pam Sylvester, High Rollers Lounge. But, I mean, it's just, we came up with it. It wasn't,
you just kind of,
it just works. It was in bowling theme. So one of the things that he was working on, we talked about adding some elements to spruce it up.
Yes.
Or to add to the fact that it's high rollers. So one of the things he's doing at the moment, he's putting up these display cases.
How awesome is that?
So this is one of, I'm not going to show them all, because this was the first one that he did. So this is a bowling ball.
It's a bowling ball.
It's a bowling ball that looks like so.
Oh.
This is one of my dad's old bowling balls.
Maybe we could make a little.
I'm going to have Liz make little plates.
Yeah, little plates that are going to go inside. Them.
But this one happens to be Dad's old Nova, which was found. Sean McAuliffe brought that upon closing Victory Lanes. They found that bowling ball.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Look how eerie the diffuser looks today. Doesn't it look eerie a little bit?
It does look a little eerie. I think it's the placement. I moved it a little because
I like it.
It was moved right because the light's on. I like the light on.
When it's dark, you can see it more.
Yeah, sometimes the light's off. When it's too bright. It's a little dim.
There it is.
So that's what Jimmy's working on at the moment. He also came into one of our new hand sanitizer dispensers all over the floor.
Oh.
But so I noticed.
You can't even blame anybody.
I went in the bar and saw it, and I was like, oh, and I left it there. I just wanted him to see exactly how it fell.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it didn't really break. It just, all the guts came off. The whole thing came off the wall.
Really?
It was on a very weak part of the wall.
Oh.
That's the Rant Fuser edition. It wasn't. Was that a rant? We didn't rant?
No, because earlier Dennis asked.
Oh, with the rant.
What's the right? It's a rant diffuser.
I do have a little rant. And this is a little capitalized. This is a little addition to Joe's Saturday when Joe Calandrolo was with us. We talked a little bit about people and their masks.
Yes.
And he even talked about the guy who wears it like this, doesn't wear it. So now I get a picture today from a friend who's traveling and with a picture of some dude with a mask on his forehead, like sitting in the airport like this. Not like this, just sitting there hanging out like this.
Yeah.
Today, I go to the bank, which you've also realized what you're willing to wait online. You have,
you
really like have a true realization of what you're willing to wait online for.
Right.
And there aren't many things I'm willing to wait online, and I'm very patient. Yeah. I'm the guy in the line. I'll talk to someone, but I'm never going to get into the conversation. They take it so long.
Yeah, I'm not.
Which only when one person does that,
feel like it makes it so much. It makes it so much worse.
So I ignore those people.
Right.
So I'm outside in the bank, and dude walking right by comes out of Dunkin' Donuts with the mask down here, barely covering his mouth.
Maybe he has a breathing issue.
No. Because then I watched him go in front of me. He walked into the thing of the bank. That's how he went. He's like, no, it's supposed to cover your nose and your mouth.
I understand.
Like people think it's okay to just cover your mouth. No, it's for both your nose and mouth.
It is for both. But I mean,
it comes out of here too.
Partially understand if somebody. I mean, when you're wearing it a long time, some people have a problem with.
I understand that.
Breathing, it becomes a claustrophobic thing.
But once you start entering into people's spaces, then be considerate and pull it up. I could give to an extent, I really could give two craps. Right. But at some point, be considerate for those around you, and that's the purpose of wearing the mask.
Yeah, I know. I understand that.
Like my mother says, "Oh, I don't have to. No, you have to cover your mouth and nose."
Actually, it happened to me today. Something I totally didn't intend to do, and I didn't realize it till I went to get gas, and because it was on E since yesterday. I didn't have.
You didn't have to go anywhere yesterday.
I didn't. Okay. Right. I didn't have time. Oh no, I had to. Of course, I had to make my weekly trips to Home Depot and the hardware store. So I had to stop and get gas, but I couldn't go where they pump it. So I said, wait a second. I know there's a place nearby. I'm pretty sure they pump it. I pull in. And I sit there and I'm like, maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe they don't. So I leaned forward and I saw a self-service island. So I said, that's fine. So I got out of the car and I had the credit card with me. I had my wallet with me to take my credit card out. And I was like, I gave it to Ray. Went to play golf this morning. So I gave him my card. And I was like, you know what? I'll just pay cash. It's easier anyway. But I started to walk into the little booth, the little store to pay for my gas, and I didn't have my mask on because the gas station was empty. There was nobody there. So I was like, oh. And I went to hand the guy. I said, I'm sorry. My mask. He goes, oh, that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Just give me the 20. So I just kind of put the 20 on the counter. And, so it does happen. And I am... every time I get out of my car, I have my mask on. Person. And so sometimes it does happen. But listen, there are people that somebody was talking about it last night. They were calling it the chin strap. Some people wear it, and they said when you wear it here, it's really a chin strap. It's not a mask. It's a chin strap. But yeah. So listen, it's adjusting to life. No matter what you do, there are always going to be people that are going to push back against what they should be doing.
Oh, of course.
One, because they don't think it's necessary. Or two, because they're like, specifically because you're saying I should, I'm not going to.
I'm not going to.
So,
and when you say I can't, I'm going to do it anyway.
Correct. So, listen, this is what we have to deal with.
And I said I can't.
Especially, you said you can't? Or... But yeah. So listen, it's what we have to deal with living in a big city. Living around other people. If we lived in the woods, away from everybody, it would make a difference.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. Some people can. Some people can. No problem. So today, restaurants in New Jersey are opening up for outdoor dining.
Phase 2.
So my brother's excited because they get to open the restaurant at Avenel Performing Arts Center. He says, we got to come this week. I said, absolutely. We'll come. And if anybody doesn't know, PK, formerly of PK's, is the executive chef there.
Oh, really?
At the Curtains restaurant at Avenel Performing Arts Center, right in Woodbridge. So
is that a new?
He's been there for almost. I mean, he might be there 6 to 8 months.
Oh, okay.
I
haven't eaten there in this.
The theater would have been celebrating its year anniversary during this. So
I ate towards the beginning. I ate there towards the beginning.
Yeah, he came in. The first guy is gone, and now he brought PK in. Food is good. Food is good.
Yeah,
and he's got a little bit of a limited menu now. The mailman's here, and nobody's here to answer the door.
So you want me to carry on, and you go get the mail?
Yeah, you carry on.
Okay,
I'm gonna go
carry on. No, we're going to definitely talk about Frankie. Any complaints you have or issues that you have with Frankie? Any grievances? Now is the time to type them in because he's not here to respond, and he won't even know the difference. We are talking today to Bill Delawski, who we're going to bring in a little while. And he is the coach from St. John's University, the men's coach. And he's had a long history with St. John's. And it should be very interesting. We tried to get some information on him, but his students are very tight-lipped. So he must have had them sign some sort of waiver before they left the school to not tell any stories. So whatever it was, he must have treated them very well because nobody is fessing up to any stories that they would share. The rest of the week is busy too. We will have tomorrow, we have Christine DeHart and Vinnie Perno will be talking about the Oktoberfest. And that will be the North Shore Rotary. Hi, how you doing? I'm just going over the week. I'm just going over the week.
Cool. We got the mail came. Mr. McFeely was here. There's no checks in there. It's all bills.
Darn it. So anyway, we have a busy rest of the week, and we'll actually cover that again.
No.
Towards the
why bother?
Why bother? Okay. We have them coming up from North Shore Rotary to discuss Oktoberfest. And a weekly check-in with Pam Silvestri on Thursday. And PBA champion Mike Fagan will be joining us on PBA Hall of Famer Saturday.
No, that's Friday.
Fagan is Friday?
Fagan's Friday. I know. I threw you all off.
You did. You get
Fagan's going to be here on Friday.
All right. Well, that's good. That'll be
so
nice
before
to talk to Fagan.
PBA Bowl Saturday.
Okay.
Dennis, I'm assuming he's saying, where do I start when you said, anybody have complaints about Frank?
Yeah, I did.
Nice. Real nice. What friends we have. Hey, so we have a special guest with us today. Guys, introduce our special guest.
I talked about him. I said he was going to be coming in a little while.
Oh.
But since you're back, you can bring him right in.
I'm going to bring our guest in. The one and only.
He is the one, the only.
And only. Hey.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing all great. Tried to set it up as good as I can here in my wife's office, actually, because mine's a mess. So kind of looking forward to our chat. So
you have Mondays off? You're home?
Well, my real job is I'm a pharmacist. I work in Lenox Hill Hospital in Manhattan. So I work the weekend. So today is my off day after the weekend.
So have you always worked the weekends? Because that's got to be a challenge for you in your role.
Well, it is. I'm supposed to work every other weekend. However, they allow me to use my vacation time to take off when I need for the tournaments. So, which is what I do. As long as I have the schedule pretty well in advance, I'm able to do that. So I have never really had a problem with a conflict with work and / coaching. So
that's a commitment to use your and I think that's something that people don't take in consideration when you do a job like that and you're traveling on the weekends. You are taking your personal vacation time to go and do that, and I think that's commitment, especially for the amount of years you've been the head coach. Which for how
many years has it been?
Years?
I know.
All right, so I started in September of 1983. So technically, I finished my 37th year. This year, I'll be starting number 38, I believe, in September.
Are there other coaches that have been coaching as long as you?
Well, I could be the longest at this point. Gordon Vatican just ritired.
Right. Yeah.
He retired last year after 44 years. So whether I'm able to catch him or not, we'll see. If health is good and the school still wants me, and we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, and that was our guess. Our guess would have been the only other person would be Gordon Vatican. Yeah. And I look at some of the other coaches who have moved around, or even Gary Sparks might be one. But I don't think he's put the amount of time in either.
He is now retired. So
right. So there you go. Not active.
Yeah.
So it might be the and I won't say oldest, because you're definitely not the oldest. So longest running, longest tenured active coach.
And that says a lot for you, because college coaching is not easy. Not an easy gig.
It's definitely gotten more challenging as the years go by. It's not the same as when I first started. And I guess it's just like any other sport. It's evolved to where it's more or less treated like a sport, as opposed to a game or a recreation sport. Although, some institutions might not treat it that way. But I do feel that there are more demands on your time. You basically have to placate everybody, your players as well as your parents. That's even a harder part, I think, what I've seen over the years. So,
hey, before anything else, I do want to ask, how are you and Jackie doing?
Yeah.
With Jackie, my beautiful wife and understanding wife, letting me coach. She's doing fine. We're all pretty good. My stepdaughter Mickey is doing well. She's in Hofstra. Hopefully she'll be finishing up in December. We just had my first grandchild, a step grandchild anyway, with Teresa, who's up in Albany.
Congratulations.
That was good news. Yes, that's very good news. She was a little preemie, born in December, 2 months early, but she's progressing very well.
Good.
So everything's good with that, and Mickey's progressing well. My dog Harry's doing okay too. He's healthy, so that's good news.
That's important. I mean, our fur babies are very important.
Very, very.
Which, speaking of fur babies, today is Presley's birthday.
Today is my dog's 5th birthday. He's going to be 5 years old today.
Happy birthday, Presley.
After my last dog passed, I said I would never. I could not see myself going through that again. But I saw his face, and I had to have him. And here he is, 5 years later. So, tell us about how you got into coaching a college team from a.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, how did I start? Basically, well, it really goes back into my high school years. Basically fairly self-taught. A lot of people tell you certain things, you try to pick it up. So basically my high school didn't have a team. I went to Archbishop Malloy High School, who has a very successful bowling team now. Unfortunately, I didn't have somebody like Vinny Leonardo to coach them. So it was basically an intramural sport. And what happened was I used to work in a bowling alley called Utopia Lanes in Fresh Meadows, New York. That's going a nice basement, little 16-lane center in the basement. Basically worked there for 5 years, but I kind of grew up there, and I took the bowling as because it was the only sport I was good at. Every other sport I sucked, basically I was just bad at. That was the only one that I took to. So anyway, every time Jamaica High School used to bowl down there all the time, I used to come down and like, damn, I wish I could bowl for my school. Damn, I wish I could bowl for my school. So finally, I got accepted to pharmacy at St. John's University, and I found out they had a varsity bowling team, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So I tried out. And I made the team, and we actually had probably one of our best years. We almost made the national tournament. We were just a little bit shy, but it was basically a coach. We really didn't have a coach. Basically, the captain ran the team, and we had an administrator that still oversaw what we were allowed to do and stuff. And then finally the seniors graduated. I kind of took over the captainship, so I had to run the team. But I also found it was very difficult to bowl and run the team also when you had to make, personnel decisions like who to take out, who to put in. So my last year that I was allowed to play, because I was in a pharmacy program at the time, which was a 5-year, now a 6-year. So in my 4th year, we decided to get a coach, because it was pretty stressful to, have to make those decisions, have to worry about it, and then worry about yourself. So we had a coach, and then he left. And then one of our professors, when he's now a dean at St. John's, his name is Glenn Gerstner, took it over for 2 years. Glenn actually bowled with me in 1980 and 1981. He took it over for a couple of years. And then he decided not to do it anymore. So now we're going into 1983. And sure enough, your former PBA commissioner, Mark Gerberich, was going to coach the team, okay, in 1983. So what ended up happening was Mark actually he was going to stay in the area. He was from Akron. He was from Ohio, Lebanon, Pennsylvania, but he got an offer from the PBA to come work as membership services, the director of membership services. So, I mean, obviously taking a full-time job with the PBA is probably what he really, he went for athletic administration. So he decided to take the job. So now the players on the team at the time was scrambling to try to find somebody to do it. And I had such a love for it, to be involved with the team, in my years, because I didn't really experience that with high school. So I decided to take over the job at that point. So now I'm coming in pretty, based on whatever I knew, but I always realized that I needed to educate myself a lot better too, in the sport. So so I basically took it over in 1983, and I'm still here.
Yes. So basically, you was that the year you graduated?
What's that?
What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 1982, and then I was able to get a job in a hospital, basically at the time. But I was able to balance everything around. 82, I didn't. I just kind of I just went along on the trips. I was kind of like an extra person or whatever, to try to help a little bit because I still wanted to be involved. But I wasn't really I wasn't really a coach on salary or as a volunteer or anything like that. But then 1983, that when Mark Gerberich got the position at the PBA and he left, they needed somebody to take over. So they came to me, and I said, "Okay, let me do it."
That's awesome. And it's cool that you're a product of the program too, and then having got involved in it and still there today. So, and then passing that on at some point. I mean, I'm sure that comes to mind. Hey, I might retire. Not that we're advocating for that, because you're great at what you do. But retirement, I mean, does that even come into your mind?
It's a good question. It does get harder every year. Physically, I'm okay. I mean, obviously, with the believe it or not, with the COVID, I've been driving into work. Normally, I would take mass transit, and that kind of beats your body up a lot. Not bowling's probably helping me a little bit too, because that beats your body up a little bit. So right now, I feel okay. I'm still okay to coach. I feel it's okay. I have the time. I'm an understanding wife, which is even more important. So I'm still in it until I can't. Or until they don't want me. That's the other, caveat, of course. But.
Whichever comes first.
Whichever comes first. And you've been pretty blessed. You've had some great athletes come through your doors and bowl for the team.
Yes, I have.
And then of course titles and that come along with that. Do you have the most memorable group of young men that bowled together at one time that you'd say would be at the top of that list?
Well, let's see. Being a coach, sometimes there's a little line about being coach and friends, that you have to eventually cut that off. But as far as team performance, my team from 2001 was probably the best team I had. Basically we had quite a few All-Americans, including Mike Fagan. I had Andy Lamonto, who was a first-team All-America. I had Ian Lang, who was, I think, a second-team that year. I also had Timmy McAuliffe, who was a very underrated player on the team, which he basically sacrificed himself the first half of the season until what ended up happening that year. We had David Eisenberg, who was also an All-American too. He had gotten Hodgkins, and he was actually granted a half year back. he was lucky enough to get that, so he came back. But sometimes it disrupted the everybody had their role, and then it kind of disrupted everything just a little bit until we were able to readjust to it. But that year was we were really good that year, and that was the one team that really stands out, that the outstanding team that we had. Even though we didn't win the national championship, unfortunately, that was the only caveat there with that one. So.
Right. Well, and it's funny, when everything gels, you think that's when it would happen. Yeah. So, and it doesn't, for whatever reasons. You get to that point, and you go, all right, what were we missing here? And then you have the opposite, where I think you have a team. You go, yeah, we're going to get this far, and then and then you win. Right. So sometimes you never know. What would you say as far as your championships, your titles? Are there any one or a couple that truly stand out to you?
There are a couple. There are a few. My team was always in William Patterson's shadow, especially in the 80s, because they had a lot of great players on their team at the time. They had Chris Vialli, Chris Soule. They were just a phenomenal team. Michael Presley was a great, he was able to put together great teams, and they did win a national championship, but he also was able to get the players. And I would always get the second, not quite the good ones, but probably my 1987 team stands out as the first team to qualify for nationals. And it was kind of like a little bit of I'm not going to say it was a fluke, but we ended up in Pittsburgh for a sectional, and there were a lot of good teams there. And what happened was they had synthetic lanes, but nobody really knew how to oil them properly, right. When they first came out. So what ended up happening, it made it a very challenging condition. And I think in that case, I think the term ignorance is bliss probably really applied, because I'm not going to say my kids were not, but a lot of my kids were not really astute. They just got up and threw the ball, and that's all they did. They didn't worry about what the lane was going to do or where the oil was. I actually had one that was really very knowledgeable about the game, and it just fried him out totally. Whereas I had 5 other guys that just were able to execute shots, and we ended up qualifying for nationals that year, which was a total shock to me. And that team really stands out to me also. Also, one other team that stands out to me was the 1992 team. That was the year I got Mike Mullen. He was also an All-America. I got Mike Mullen and I got Brian Zizek that year. They were both freshmen that year. And we went to this tournament in St. Louis, which had 64 men's teams at the time. Excuse me. So anyway, we ended up, the shock was that we ended up winning the tournament. And that really was a total shock to me, because a tournament like that, basically you're beating 63 other teams that were considered great, that really put our team on the map and started to establish where I had a great trend for the next 10 years after that, where we made nationals every year except for one. So that kind of started us on there. So that was great. Oh, by the way, Mike is celebrating his 25th anniversary of winning the Associations of College Union International tournament in the Reno Stadium in 1995. So this is believe it or not, that's his 25th anniversary, which is kind of crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, imagine
that was in Bowler's Journal. I only knew that because Bowler's Journal just put it in there 25 years ago.
Well, it's pretty cool that we talked about that when that issue came out 2 months ago. It really a nice ode to college bowling and truly celebrating what college bowling means. And if you look at today's PBA tour, and I'd say even more so on the women's side, a lot of these bowlers have been products of these programs, but more stand out from their college bowling experience.
Yeah, well, that's true. My guys in the 90s, late 90s, basically that was the time of the mega book tournaments, and obviously the men were allowed to bowl, and that was before junior gold became really the be all to end all now at this point. But at that time, the mega book tournaments are where you really cut your teeth, and as far as how good a player you're going to be. And my guys always bowl tournaments every time. And I kept telling all my new guys, I'm like, you guys need to bowl tournaments, because that's how you're going to get better. By beating everybody, beating all these things for money. For money, that's really where you cut your teeth. You know, because if you're bowling for $1, it's a lot different than just bowling for nothing. You know?
Right. Yeah.
I always told them, man, my guys in the late 90s, they always bowl tournaments. And I really think that's why they were good all the time.
Oh, by the way, just so you know, Ian Lang says all St. Louis stories are to be kept secret.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
I know.
Yes, Ian, I will not. I promise I will not tell that story.
I have a couple, and not from my personal experience, but some that I know very well after a period of time. And you know what? And that's the whole part of the college experience alone.
Yeah.
If you are going to a university and you're dorming and you're taking college, but then to play any sport and travel. I mean, look, you've got a bunch of college athletes traveling together. Well, what do you think is going to happen?
Right.
And plenty of stories to be told.
Yeah.
But
you know what?
It's a lot tamer now.
So,
but I honestly, the one thing I do miss is the socialization that everybody was like always happy to be with each other at night, but no matter what team you bowled on. You know, that was the one thing. You know, now it's kind of like you just bowl and then you kind of go your separate ways, you know, basically at night. But in the past, it was very much more social, I thought. So
today's society, it's changed, and I will say it's different because you guys also, there are different expectations and rules in the governance side that have now been pushed towards the coaches and the programs. So you have to be careful. So I totally get that. Hey, I just wanted to touch. You talked a little bit about bowling in tournaments, and this is where I do believe that the men have a little bit more of in these programs have an advantage where they can compete in other events, and especially for bowling for money, where women on the NCAA side cannot compete in those events. So that's a great point that you make to going out and competing. But for those, and here's a question from one of our student athletes, Jessica, who's headed over to Wagner College this year. Brand new team. Out of college, Wagner College, which is what we're looking forward to. But you know, she's asking about, hey, what do you look for? And so, if you can't get that online experience in those tournaments and events, what is it that you'd suggest to make sure that you go and do? And then the second question: what are you looking for when you're scouting athletes?
Right.
Okay, so first thing, congratulations to Wagner for actually waking up and actually having a women's team. So congratulations to them and kudos to them for realizing that they need that. We need more NCAA teams from the area that would bolster everything. I feel the East Coast is sort of lagging a little bit compared to the Midwest. We see that a lot. And we like to keep our East Coast players here if possible. You know, that's number one. So thank them. Congratulations for staying there. What do I look at? So really on the college end, you need to make sure you're a good spare shooter because you bowl a lot of bakers. And hopefully most people know what those are. Everybody bowls one frame, 2 frames of one game. It's really important that you fill your frame. Okay, so I'm looking for spare shooting. What am I looking for? I'm not necessarily looking for rev rate. I'm looking for accuracy. I do look at form because with good form probably will come with good release. Repetition is key. Throwing the same ball twice, hitting the same target, you know, more or less. That's basically what I'm looking for. Rev rate's not necessarily the best thing especially on the men's side, because our lanes have a tendency to burn up so fast that you know, sometimes a high rev rate might actually be counterproductive to what you need to do. Sometimes less is more.
Agreed. And so for Wagner College, another question here: what would be the brand new program? The coach came from Kutztown, so he's not a brand new coach, but he's a brand new coach starting a new program. What kind of advice would you give and for athletes that are just entering a new program that are really setting the stage to make it work and happen?
You need to bowl as a team. Everybody has to try to get on the same page as the coach, you know, more or less. You know, you can't do your own thing. Okay. And also you have to also realize that you're basically starting from scratch, even though you may have been a star in high school. It's best that you come in with the low expectation that, okay, I'm here, I'm going to do what they tell me to do and just do it. Don't try to take control right away. Some people are like that. You know, everybody, I've coached for a million years, so I see a lot of different personalities. A lot of people like to, they want to control things right off the bat. That can rub your teammates the wrong way. So try not to do that. Don't come off as being too much of a know-it-all. Offer support and advice. Okay. That's constructive. Don't try to be negative. Always have a smile on your face, basically, because it's a lot easier. That's the thing. You don't want to rub people the wrong way initially, because you're all starting out from scratch. You're trying to build something at this program. Success will come, but it may take time also. So also practice as hard and practice hard. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And I don't know, that's the best advice I can give you right now.
And don't lose sight of your schoolwork.
Yeah, you're right, exactly.
Okay, we'll get on that too. Yes, 2.0 means a C. Your parents did not send you to get a C. They want higher. Okay, yeah. So they want you to do well. You don't need to be on the borderline. You're always going to be evaluated with that as far as USBC/NCAA guidelines. 2.0 is a bare minimum. College can be really tricky, especially if you're in a sport. And it's not always that easy to balance your time, but just remember the schoolwork has to get done. And no one's going to do it for you. That's like the most important advice. You just go in there with the expectation that school is really hard and you got to study a lot. Okay. After your first semester, you see how great you did, and you're like, okay, maybe I don't have to study, or maybe I can back off a little bit, and still have the college experience. Okay. But it's best that you try to find out right away. I can tell you from experience, I've had a few borderline people, and one kid I had to tell to stay home because I didn't want him to, fail off the team. And the parents weren't really too happy about it, but it was one tournament. But you know what? It worked out in the long run. He finally graduated, and I congratulate him. His name is Chris Vitri, and he did a great job, getting through school. And I'm very proud of him.
I have to say that going back years, we would always see you, Ray and I would always see you at coaching conferences. And we really wouldn't see too many other of the college coaches going back. And now more of them attend. But I really feel like you always put, it was always important for you to learn what was going on and to be as informed as you could. Now, that's an important part of coaching, you think, right?
I do, and I actually I used to always coincide with Bowl Expo, so it was really kind of cool for me. I always thought Bowl Expo was like the most fantastic thing I ever go to, and I don't care how many times I go, even if I see the same things, I'm still kind of excited to go to it. But what happened? The USBC used to give a little stipend to the coaches to come there and have a meeting, and they would try to coordinate it with a coaching seminars. And then one year they just decided not to do the coaching seminars anymore. So for me to have to take personal time off, I'm like, well, all right, do I really want to fly out to Vegas for just 2 days or whatever? Why am I really going out there? I kind of do miss that. And I also feel that I like to go to coaching seminars. I can learn from other coaches. We are a little, we do have some resource issues here in the East Coast. Not everybody can have a, Kegel, place down there with state of the art. So it's very difficult. So, and sometimes to try to, learn things, it's not that easy. So, I used to look at the seminars as something I could pick up, from other coaches and other presenters. And I am disappointed that doesn't occur anymore, because otherwise I probably would make the time to do it again. So I did try to educate myself as much as I can. It's just, I feel right now it's a little bit harder to do that.
And going back to when you first started coaching to now up to present day, what kind of changes have you seen from the administrative side of running your team?
Okay. Are you talking about school support, or are you talking about just how I have to run things differently?
Both.
Okay. So when I first started at St. John's, the team was actually a varsity team at one time, considered one of the varsity sports. We were invited to the athletic dinner. We gave out an MVP award every year up until 1992. And in 1992, I got called into the office, and Mr. Jack Kaiser, who is actually still alive, he's a great guy. very supportive of all the sports, but the school needed to make some changes. I guess they needed to show that they were able to, downgrade athletics a little bit, I guess, the budget. So they ended up getting rid of us, hockey, and I think one other sport. I don't remember what that was. Lacrosse might have, I think lacrosse was there too. But they had some issues anyway, but that was another issue. But they decided to make us recreation. So what did that really mean? It basically, I didn't have to adhere to the athletic department rules at that time, but it also allowed me a little less academic type things that the kids had to do. So I also lost the support of the budget, but then I got a great recreation director, Bill Gavin, who was able to give me the funds I needed up until he left. So then I had to basically start fundraising more money, for my own budget. So every year I have to do more fundraising to try to pay for everything that we do. So that's the big difference with that. As far as running the team is concerned, when I first started, I just really it was basically trying to manage people. My knowledge was okay, but it wasn't where it needed to be, in order to be one of the elite coaches. And I still don't consider myself an elite coach, but, I still felt I had to, go try to get the certifications, the bronze, the silver, and so on. And as far as running the team, I still have to adhere to recreation department rules that they do require. So, and the kids have to just basically, they have to do these things. That's basically the changes that I've seen over it.
What have you ever have conversations about starting a women's program at St. John's?
Well, they had an opportunity to do that. They were looking to add some women's sports. I was never consulted about adding women's bowling. They had a choice. They ended up adding women's golf. And I think the reason I heard was because they were familiar with it, which I don't know. I thought that was kind of I don't know, but again, I wasn't really in on the conversation about that when they decided to do it. That was when bowling was considered one of the emerging sports, I think, at the time. Right now, I think their numbers are probably okay as far as Title IX is concerned, where I think they probably have more females than males. So they probably don't have to, add it. I don't know financially. I don't know if they would at this point, considering with the COVID and, some of the changes that they may have to make during the coming year about, loss of, some money and stuff like that. So I don't know. I mean, my team is mixed. So I've had a few women bowlers on the team. They're welcome to come and try out, and they will be given a fair shake. And, if I have to make accommodations for them on trips, I would. It wouldn't be an issue. However, I think that my opinion is the fact that unless it's something you really want to study at St. John's, if you have an opportunity to go elsewhere and get scholarship money, then that's what you should do. Right. Because St. John's is not a cheap school, and it's a lot of money, and especially if you dorm, and if someone else is willing to give you the money, I'm finding out, I have a stepdaughter, she's still in school, and we're trying not to saddle her with loans. So it can be, financially, it can be, challenging at times. You have to make some choices. So that's my opinion on that.
Good point. So talk about the notable women that you've had bowl for the team over the years.
Well, I had one of your own. I had Nicole Camarda. I think she could have been the first one, I think. We also had Rock and Bowl. I did Melissa Rogovsky. I think she was one. She ended up being on Rock and Bowl with us because, we had to find a female. I didn't have anybody on it at the time. Probably the best female player I had was Amanda Beck. She was a very, very good player for us. Very helpful. And, she went on to, do some good things out on the lanes there.
Yeah, I'm sure it takes a special lady to say, I'm going to go bowl with the boys.
Yeah, I remember those days. And I remember, I remember her struggling a little bit, but she was a tough kid. And, she got through it pretty well.
Who are you talking about, Nicole?
Amanda.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And she was probably better than some of the guys.
Yeah, at that time. Yeah, she definitely was. So with recruiting, are you finding now with so many colleges having bowling teams now, are you finding it more difficult to recruit locally, or do you feel that it's just sparking more interest and recruiting is about the same or better?
Well, okay. So obviously they don't give me any bowling scholarship money. Okay, that's true. All right. However, they do offer academic aid. So I have to sell people on the school potential for getting them a good job once they get out of school. If they give them enough academic aid, and we have a great business program there, a great pharmacy program. I think a lot of teachers come out of St. John's. I mean, I have to sell them on the fact that while you may get some financial aid outside of here, you have the St. John's name, and also that could help you in the long run of getting a job that you may desire that will pay you a lot of money in the future. A lot of times, even though a school offers you scholarship money, is it really worth it for you to go there? Also, seeing as well, you'll have a degree from such and such a place, but would it carry as much weight as a degree from St. John's? So you have to weigh the possibilities of that also.
All right. So many of us know you by Wacky.
You want to know how I got the name? I guarantee it. I knew that was going to come up.
Yeah. So
you want to know how I got my name? Okay, I'm going to tell you the story.
Go ahead.
All right. So
as Mickey Endress made sure to let everybody know as he came in to say hello.
Shout out to Mickey, but I remember Mickey. Mickey was I like Mickey. Mickey was a good kid. He's not a kid anymore. Nobody's a kid anymore. So anyway, all right. So back in 1977, 78, I was graduating high school, and I used to bowl in Madison Square Garden. When they had the lanes. So for those of you who don't know, at Madison Square Garden, where the Paramount is now, that used to be a 48-lane bowling center.
Yep.
And it was a very, very nice center.
Really?
It was run by Tom Robley at the time. I don't even know if he's still around because I think he went to the Port Authority. Anyway, so they had that there. So I bowled in the Garden Juniors, basically. So I went there. So one week I bowled, and I shot like a 650 or whatever, which is pretty good series for that time of the year. So the newspaper, the Sports Reporter, that's still printed out in New Jersey,
yeah.
And so I got a headline. So, and it would say, so and so would lead the Garden Juniors. Okay, so my last name is Delawski, obviously. So instead of saying Delawski leads the Garden Juniors, it literally said Delawski leads the Garden Juniors.
There it is. That's
so, okay. So I saw it, and I started showing everybody. And I was working at Utopia Lanes at the time. At that time I was working at Utopia Lanes, and one of the guys that I used to work with, he saw it, and I started acting a little silly and stuff. He says, "You really are wacky." And so they just started. So I just kind of went along with it. I started acting on purpose. I started acting like a little weird, and they just said, "Oh," they started calling me Delawak, whack, whack, whack. So the name just stuck, and I've had that, in the coaching. I've had it here. Now, if I were to do that in my regular job, I would give you like a dirty look or something like that because I'm not known for it there. So.
That's great. I didn't know that.
I mean, even to this day, everybody calls me that, and I'm fine with it. It doesn't bother me in the least. I know it's it's a little odd to have, oh yeah, Coach Wacky. It's like, but that's how I got my nickname.
Well, no, because I don't think I've ever heard any of them say Coach Bill.
No, they definitely
none of them say Coach Bill.
Definitely,
I get coach, and that's it. Yeah, some of the other coaches call me Wacky. It's not all of them though. So
I either hear Coach or Wacky.
I have to say, coming from a parent who had a child that was with you for 4 years,
yes,
I do have to say that it was a good feeling having you as a coach, knowing that you not only looked after him as an athlete, but you honestly cared about them as people. And from a parent who's, sending your kid off to college, that's and knowing that they're making these trips and going away and getting into some mischief, I'm going to call it. You know,
Because your
that
son
was,
never led any of that.
no, he was never involved
Never.
in
No.
that.
No, he was an
Um,
angel. No, never.
But I have to tell you, it was good to know there was somebody else looking out for him. So I wanted to thank you for that.
Well, I want to bring him home in one piece. That's my goal.
Yeah, well,
That's
and
the
then
goal.
and then Ray hung around and also was helping for
Yes, he did.
for
Ray was my assistant coach for a good number of years, you know, until we parted ways. I guess it was, you know, time and work constraints or whatever. And Ray was a great assistant coach. He was very helpful. He was a part of a couple national teams that we went to, and he also helped coach a couple of them too. So he was very, very helpful, and hope he's doing okay. Shout out to Ray. He's
Well,
listening.
He's here in the watch party. He wanted to. I tried to get him to come on to share, but he's popping in and out with work. He's super busy. So, but he was excited to know you were going to be on.
I don't know if I could say the same thing about my brother. You might. I don't know what you did to Tommy.
Tommy was great. Love Tommy. Tommy's great. I know he's out there saving everybody with the fires and stuff. So I'm sure he's doing good.
And now, and one of our very own Eric Capizzi's with his bowling on the team. So and he loves it. I mean, he talks about his experience all the time.
Eric's going to be a great coach. I really feel that.
Yeah,
I already see it in him with some of the things he does. He does a lot of help for the team.
Yeah. You know, some people just come to that naturally. That's another interesting question too. You know, I'm sure you talked about when you're scouting an athlete that you do look for offer help, you know, to be part of the team. That you probably get a decent amount of kids who are, you know, big fish in a little pond, and then they come to you, and then, like you said, you know, they try to kind of run things. But then you probably get kids who, and I want to call them kids, they're young men who bring something different. And in addition to them being elite athletes, they kind of have an understanding of how important the team ethic, you know, the whole team ethic is, and how they can help you too.
Well, okay, so I will tell a story. So sometimes when you get certain situations, you have your seniors that are established, and then you have some new kids that come in and want to, you know, control things. And I've seen both sides. It's not really pleasant with that part of it. Sometimes people have to take a break from it and then come back. And actually, that did happen. And one of my players did. You know, it was a little tense at times. But he did have to take a break due to some work, you know, that he ended up having to do, and then you know, working in accounting, whatever, and came back and actually became one of my favorite players on the team. Sometimes it takes time to get away from it to see the whole picture, you know, and you would hope that you can convince them right off the bat that, you know, being part of the team and doing it is instead of being resistant all the time. You know, the Borg said resistance is futile, but, you know, yeah. You know, unfortunately, it's better not to resist. I mean, you know, in cases with you know, being a part of the team, I think it just works out better. Everybody's a little more happier, and you know, as the team starts to have more success, then things start to, you know, progress better. Instead of, you know, you can't have tension on the team. If there's tension on the team, it needs to be resolved right away. It can't be left to linger. And a lot of times, I don't find out these things until it's middle of the season, and I'm like, well, when did this happen? You know, it's like, you know, and some of the things I hear are, you know, and then it's like, well, you got to be careful how you try to fix it too, because, you know, people don't take it the right way. And you know, but you know, the thing is, like, this past season was one of my more enjoyable ones. We did really well. Everybody kind of bought into, you know, the team effect, and unfortunately, we, you know, with the cancellation of the tournament, that really stung, because I probably had my best team in years, and I was looking forward to making a trip to nationals this year, and it just didn't happen. So, but I like this team a lot, and it was unfortunate that we weren't able to complete things. You know, and unfortunately, I had 3 seniors, which, you know, for them it was kind of worse, because they kind of were, you know, built up. And, you know, when you're a freshman, and you tell these people, it's like, you can't take these things for granted. You got to try to get them right away. And then that first year, you know, we had the little tension and stuff and of their year, and then it just didn't work out. But then thinking, well, we got 3 more years, and then now 3 years have passed, and now you don't have it anymore, and then you got to take it away, you know, for whatever. So you have to savor. If you have an opportunity to grab the gold ring, you go and grab it. You know, don't say, well, let's wait till next year. We're going to get so and so and so and so. These are the cards you dealt. You have to play with these cards. Yeah. You know, whether it's 2, 3, 5, and 8 doesn't matter. You have to still have to play with them. So you know, you try to make them better if you can, and you know, work out from there. So,
hey, you have any incoming freshmen that stand out to you?
When this coming in now?
Yeah, anybody that you already know that is coming into the program that has said, "Hey, I'm coming in next year." Any obviously we don't know the upcoming season.
Right now, I really couldn't tell you, to be honest with you. I just been kind of in lockdown mode with everything, so I really couldn't tell you. You know, I have a decent core coming back. I think it's just a question of what the university is going to let us do. You know, we were before sectionals. We were actually denied the ability to go to sectionals before they actually canceled it. And that morning of, we were trying to fight for the right to go because none of the other teams had canceled. You know, very few of them had, if anything. And anyway, none of the top 20 teams had canceled. So that's why I wasn't really thrilled, but I was trying to fight for my team. And then, you know, the school ultimately, you know, said, you're not going. And I'm like, we had to obey it. And then, you know, finally the USBC came to their senses and, you know, got rid of, you know, they stopped it. So, I don't know. Since then, I have to see what's going to happen, you know, for the future at this point. I mean, you know, I don't even know if they're going to let kids on campus. I haven't really heard anything from St. John's yet. I know one of my other colleagues was a little not happy about some of the restrictions they were going to place on them. I don't even know if I'll have the opportunity for that at this point, but I'm hoping, you know, I'll have some answers soon.
Yeah. It's the unknown. I mean, it's going to be, you know, one day at a time. Some of the schools have already said virtual learning for the first semester. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. And on the USBC. Right. So,
you have virtual learning, but are you going to let the kids get together, you know, on the side? That's the thing. You know, I know one coach has got to take their temperature every time they practice. Right. You know, I don't know how you social distance with 8 kids on a 15 passenger van. I don't know how you do that. Oh, so sure. I don't really know. You know, there's a lot of questions that they have to ask, and you know, I think being a part of a varsity program, you know, is probably more of an advantage because at least they'll have more guidelines. Whereas a recreation department might treat you like a recreation sport. Right. You know, like it's not important. Even though I always consider my sport a hybrid, you know, of both. You know, I consider myself like you know, like as if I was an NCAA team. But on the other hand, I'm on the recreation, so I have to abide by what they say. But even though I consider myself a varsity team, because I do hit all the major tournaments and stuff, you know, when I can. So.
Do you think it was probably a relief that they canceled? Because wouldn't it have been worse if it would have went on and your school told you couldn't go? I think I would have felt worse about that.
Yes, I was not feeling. I don't think any of us were. I had Andrew Hall and Anthony Njokas, my two senior guys. We were there when we talked with our administrator, and we weren't able to talk to anybody higher than who we were talking to. And he said it stops here. So I was like, okay. Right. I didn't really have anything, and he said you're not going, and I was not happy about it. I mean, obviously, because I didn't hear other teams. I know there were a couple of teams, but nobody really in the top 20, right? Which is why it bothered me more. And then it was funny. I went to bring the van keys back after my meeting, and I'm up there looking, and I look up, and I saw the St. John's Georgetown game on. You know, this is in the middle of the afternoon. I said, "Well, what's this doing on?" Oh, you didn't hear? They canceled the Big East tournament. They pulled everybody off the floor, and I'm like, oh, wow. So I was like kind of shocked with that. And then maybe a half hour later, I heard that USBC pulled the plug on the tournament. In fact, Gary Brown, who's the USBC collegiate director, he actually had come into New Jersey. He was going to be at the one down in Stratford. And apparently Weber was practicing at the time, you know, there. So they basically had flown up there from Florida, and they had to fly back. I don't know. There might have been one other team there too. I don't really know. But they had basically flew there and had to go back, you know, that was basically. So as far as I'm concerned, yes, that was a relief. because otherwise I would have felt more bitter about it. The fact that I
Right.
wouldn't have been able to compete, so it would have been a problem. And I was trying to compare myself to athletics because they were still having scheduled to have a softball tournament there, but they ended up canceling that. So I was kind of happy about, it was no double standard, to begin with. So
having been involved in that process, that was not an easy decision to make.
I'm
And
sure.
Weber wasn't the only team. There were a bunch of teams that were in the that were either traveling or had already been to their destinations. And I mean, it was the right decision with the information that we had at the time. And
I mean, also, like, my coaching brethren, I mean, we're not really super young, so at that time, we didn't really know much about the virus. And I will tell you from, my experience in the hospital, I know some of my colleagues, they were exposed to it a lot more than I was. However, maybe 6 weeks ago, we had 300 cases in our hospital, which is like an enormous amount. And now we have like maybe 20 in the 20s, so which is a good thing. So we're doing, New York State is doing something right, but I'm a little alarmed at the fact that the cases in the hot weather areas are starting to go up now. So I don't know what that means, and obviously the stock market's not happy either. So
well, time will tell where we will how we'll pull out, but we know we'll pull out. We know we need people to get healthy and be aware of their surroundings and do all the things that we need them to do for sure. Hey, and you know what? Before you mentioned Anthony Najokas, and as his sister has committed to, I believe, to go to Vanderbilt, and phenomenal duo. But his story is interesting too, because he wasn't one that fell right into it. He wasn't going to be bowling, or right. So did he bowl? Did he bowl all 4 years?
He bowled my first year, he was, as a freshman, and then he did a work study, so he wasn't going to have time to bowl. He was struggling a little bit too, and he took some time off from the game, and I think it really helped him. I told him, I actually told him this, and I'm going to be straight. I says, I didn't like you much the first year, but I love you now, and that's really what it counts. I grew to really like the kid. I value him. If I call you on my way home from work, that means I like you. That's basically, because I've been driving into work every day now, and I usually try to call somebody on the way home to pass the time. So he came, and arguably I was kind of more disappointed for him in a way, only because I felt he was going to be the key to us winning, getting to nationals. I felt he was bowling like phenomenal at the time, and I thought he was really going to be instrumental. He basically, he bought into everything. He did what, he came out when he had to come out. He had a couple physical issues that sometimes I had to take him out. Whatever. It's unfortunately he did have a car accident a few years ago, so that doesn't impact him, but sometimes his body doesn't let him do some things at certain times. But anyway, he was really going to be, I felt he was going to really be a factor. I'm kind of hoping he comes back next year, because he still has one more year of eligibility, to do it. And so if I have him, Andrew Hall was another addition. He was a transfer from Arizona State, and he was phenomenal too. And he has one more year. So I'm kind of hoping that they get one more year to get, we can get there, at this point. So, and as far as her sister, I think she's going to be really successful there at Vanderbilt. I've talked to her a few times. Great kid. Really nice person. I think she's going to go do well wherever she does. And I think Vanderbilt's very lucky to have her.
Without a doubt, and an awesome family. They're great, but it's nice to see these kids come through the program and see where they end up. And Nazwood said it before. I mean, you're a big part of that as the coach. You got to keep the team together. You're growing. You're giving them life skills. At the same time, hey, we want to win a championship, so let's go do what we have to do. And so, couldn't do.
I prefer they get I would really prefer they get the life skills. That's really what it's going to be about. Because a lot of them are not going to be professionals. I have to meet. It's it is what it is. I mean, it's tough, but you really, basically I have to tell you, you're going to school to, become something, and, basically hopefully move out of your parents' houses eventually, that's, you don't want to stay home till you're 34 like I was. So, although you can save a lot of money living at home, that was the one plus, but anyway, that's my opinion. I'd rather they get some life skills and develop as people and be nice people and to boot. So that's even better. So
without a doubt. Hey, Wacky, thanks for dropping in with us today. We really appreciate you taking the time and coming on with us.
It's no problem. It was pretty fun. So I'm glad you guys do something like this, and keep it up. And I appreciate you having me. And shout out to all the St. Johnnies and who's listening to me. I love you all. Unfortunately, hopefully, I'll see a lot of you at the alumni tournament if they let me have one. We'll see what happens with that. That's down the road, and St. John's strong, I guess.
Awesome.
All right. So, Naz, thank you very much. Hope everything's well. Ray, both Rays.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. All my Staten Island people, that formerly bowled me, Timmy, Sean, Louie, Mike. So
good deal.
All right. So, anyway, and Frankie, thank you very much.
No, thank you. We'll see you soon.
Be well. Be well.
Yes.
All right. You too. Thank you.
Wacky, everybody. And if you didn't know the story of how he got the nickname,
now you
Wacky,
know.
Now
if
you know.
Don't know, now you know.
Sing it, Naz.
That's it. That's all I got to say. I'm not singing.
Awesome. He's great. And the kids that come to the program absolutely love him. And listen, it was also tough love that comes with that. And the long-term relationships that you can develop with your coach. I mean, they all have them. And it's great to hear.
He is one of the coaches, I have to say, that, knowing the kids that were in the program as he was younger, I don't want to say they kind of grew up together, but, he was growing as a coach at that point.
Yeah.
And, they were coming into the program and they were kind of finding their way together. And I have to say that he was he took it. He took a lot of abuse from those kids, and you absolutely have to be a special person to be a college coach, and you have a lot of personalities coming in, a lot of mix of people, and I still see them. I know it's among my either among people that I know or friends of my son that they've stayed really close, and it's good to see because, like he said, life skills are important. Teaches you how to get along in life and how to deal with disappointment, and these are people that you're gonna pass through life. You'll be close for a little while, and then maybe you grow apart. We come back together, but important stuff. It's great.
Preach, Naz, preach.
I'm just saying.
That's true.
I have Ray Dunleavy now talking about Wacky was and is the best, and they still have reunions every year at basketball games.
That's cool. And they do they host an alumni, and it's more of a fundraiser for the program. But it's my brother has participated in the past, and Ray has, and they enjoy going when they can.
Right.
And it's great to see to have that opportunity, as Wacky said, hey, whatever, we'll do it when we can. But also it allows you to stay connected and support the team. Moving forward. So, and yes, Eric. He mentioned Eric being a great coach, and so Eric works with our kids here, and Eric is great. And it's you learn that, and I will say his experience. He talks about his experience bowling for college has certainly helped him too. I mean, he's very analytical too, so that also helps him. Hey, but thanks, Wacky, for coming on, and great advice shared from a coach who's in the trenches. So if you're just watching now and you missed the interview, be sure to go back and check it out.
Great interview. He's a great guy.
We've been sharing some old photos, and so in lieu of our old photos today, I shared.
You shared.
I shared the kind of old new today, but here's our meme of the day, Naz.
We will.
Someday
we will hug again.
I think this is good.
I saw a friend this morning, actually Mike King, because he took Ray out golfing early this morning, and it's so strange. Your instinct for somebody that is you go to hug him hello, and I actually he probably didn't even notice I did it. I leaned forward and I was like, oh, I can't. There's really no hugging anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. It's a weird world right now.
I do it all the time.
And I'd like to go.
Catch myself.
I'd like to get past it.
I'll hug you, but
As
don't shake
possible.
my hands.
Yeah, right.
Especially after picking your nose. Or,
The Summer Clash. Did you watch the Summer Clash?
I watched a little bit. I didn't get to. I actually watched fast forward. I thought it was, but what I saw, I thought was interesting. But then I saw the final result, which, I mean, he bowled awesome. I mean, when you piece it together,
really good. He really did.
When you piece it all together and you look, Sean had a great outing and good. I mean, I have to say, someone who is not very well liked in some cases for his outspokenness, especially in this past year. He was with Brunswick for a while. He's now at 900 Global, and he had some last year. He had a little fall off. He had some great success last year, and he's riding that tide. It was interesting. So I talked about him bowling in the strike derby, and he was talking about being the old guy, but putting just a different perspective on it. He's not the old guy,
right?
But then watching what I did see this week, awesome. Yeah, I mean,
it was good to see. It's good. It was nice to see Danielle in there.
Yeah,
and I did miss the beginning. It
was the two ladies,
Shannon
and Danielle.
Yeah, Shannon was already.
Rash does make it for good TV. I mean, he does talk. Not all the players, if you pay attention, put the bug in their ear to talk with the commentators. Some of them are very comfortable doing it. Some of them aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Sean is, but he's always been that way. He's always outspoken.
Sean is.
He's fun to watch. I think he's fun to watch.
Yeah, listen, and we need people like that, whether we agree with them or not. To just share their thoughts and, just another opinion. And
I was just excited to me, it's exciting to have some bowling on TV. So if you haven't been watching, the replays are on Fox Sports 1. You can go to flowbowling.com, check or through the Flow Bowling app and watch them. But the Strike Derby I thought was great entertainment. We've talked about it a bunch. It was just different. And then this upcoming week is another, right? This week also on Fox?
I think.
And they were on Fox. They were not on Fox Sports. They're on Fox.
Channel 5 on
after last week was after NASCAR. I don't know if NASCAR's in the same spot each week because I don't know how the schedule's changing. But it's nice to see them fill the TV time. And I think that the challenge, too, for these networks is, one, these obligations of contracts with sports. The contract with PBA, if you go back to their announcement, talks specifically about the majors being on Fox.
Right.
And specifically the majors. Well, here we go. We didn't get to have all of the majors on Fox, so here's an opportunity to do so.
Right.
Plus, the networks are looking for content.
Yeah,
and it's funny to see some of the stuff that's coming up now. I wonder if it was in the mill, like something that they just didn't pick up. Now they need something because they can't film.
Right. So now, they're just grabbing what's there.
Yeah.
Right.
Some of it's actually been pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
Summer Clash was pretty cool. Another different format. And
I think is it the same format they followed the last couple summers, or did they shorten the format a little bit?
I haven't watched it before.
I think it's the same or similar format.
Well, it's different. What I mean is, it's
the environment's
different than the real.
Sure.
It's different than a regular full format tournament.
I love the look of this. One of the things that I always we have these strategic conversations in the industry about what what bowling should look like in TV shows. And I've always said I've struggled with the way that the traditional TV set looks like, but it's very hard to transform the space.
Yes.
And I will say they did a really good job of making it because there's no audience,
right?
Really.
Yeah, so they have that backdrop.
Huge. They've been using those walls with all the graphics. They look cool on the lanes.
Yeah.
They're really challenging.
Yeah.
And so between USBC and BPAA, working in the PWBA and some of the US Open, working with the PBA, there's some great stuff, and it looks good. Yeah.
I think the reason that it sparked is because you said we were talking about the hugging, and I saw them. They were tapping feet.
They're tapping feet. Yeah. there was a couple of the elbows. And there was tapping of the feet, which was something we were encouraging before we shut down. Right. With telling folks, hey, either just use your feet, use your elbows, whatever it might be, for a while, and that's fine. Well, that was great, Bill Wacky, whatever the hell you want to call him.
It's Wacky,
Coach Wacky. He's great, and I'm glad he accepted our invitation to come on the show. And you know what? Friday when Mike Fagan's here, we're gonna have to ask Mike about his college bowling experience,
Oh yeah.
and might have to specifically target Wacky and ask him. But Mike's great, and I'll look forward to having him here.
I'm sure he'll
Uh,
have.
Naz
lots
told
to
you
say.
all about our guests this week. We've got a great lineup of guests throughout the whole week. We'll talk more food. We'll talk more bowling, and before you know it, it's episode 81, and 100 is around the corner.
Right around the corner before you know it. Frank.
Before you know it, which would be hopefully, if all goes well, it's like happens right before our opening. So, if all goes well, it looks like we open to mid to late July. That week of the 20th. I mean, if counting
things stay online.
14 days at a clip and things stay offline, and we're in good shape. That's what it looks like we'll open. So we're excited. Phase 1 for Live from Rabs has already started because we take Sundays off. And yesterday I got to enjoy another day in the sun and just relax, sat with my computer. I didn't break anything in the yard again, so I'm in good shape. And yeah, Brian, of course, when the bowling season starts, we will certainly have the Wagner girls and coach on the show. And I mean, we're looking to do, when we get rolling and past this won't be this on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. But we'll do, we have some content that we're ready to roll with Live from Rabs continuing in some way, shape, or form. And then by then we'll have a live studio audience.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
We might need someone to
Yeah, we're definitely going to need that.
Clap. So we're looking forward to continuing this in whatever shape. But for now, until further notice, we're here every day.
This is it for now.
6 days a week until further notice at 2 p.m.
Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, smash the like button.
Smash the like button. Smash it. Or smash the love button.
Easy.
Share this with your friends and family. We're here. If you haven't gone back and watched some old episodes, if you're just watching us today, go back and check out our past guests. We've had some awesome guests, and we're going to continue to have some great guests as we get through it. And before we go, Ronnie's telling us that he just finished Money Heist.
He finished it?
He finished Money Heist.
What is it? Well, because you hid the comments again.
Because I'm getting ready to close the show, so I have to change windows to come back to it. So why do you have to call me out on that? I just said what he wrote. What does it make a difference?
Because I like to see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good thing I brought batteries because the keyboard died.
Okay.
So
I'm just curious.
I knew it was going to happen.
Ronnie, I thought it got much better the last bunch of episodes. So I'm just curious what you think. I thought the part 4, as they call it, I believe.
Yeah, it's weird how they did it because it
started off a little. The beginning of that part was, I felt, much more a background on the players.
Well, but then when you got to part 3 and 4, they did the same thing. They highlighted the players too in a different light.
Right. I feel like they went back more in their, how they all came together and how their relationships kind of intertwined.
So, Ronnie, save your comments for tomorrow. When we come back tomorrow, we'll talk about some TV, and we'll come back to
let's
Money
do
Heist.
that. That's a good idea.
At the end of the week, Friday. I don't know if Friday's going to be dress up Friday. We've been trying to play it casual. We did the dress up. We might maybe, but Friday is bingo night, Naz.
Yeah.
So bingo night, Friday
excited.
night. SINorthshoreRotary.org/bingo. And breaking news for bingo night number 7. So come and join us. We play bingo to support our community. It's a way for you to have some fun with your friends and family.
With the Rotary.
But this week, we haven't announced this yet. So if anybody here that plays
let's go.
playing now, we're going to guarantee a $500 jackpot for bingo for the full card money round bingo.
That's
so
not even the
guaranteed
wheel.
prize. No, that's not the wheel. But for bingo, the last game, guaranteed minimum prize $500 to the winners. Winner or winners. Whoever it works out to be. So breaking news, you heard it here first. We have a lot of that. Hey, we could start a segment. What's in
today's mail?
Yeah, junk. Anyway, hey, thanks for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow. And again, every day until further notice, except for Sundays.
Except Sundays. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face unless your hands are clean.
Wear a mask over your nose and mouth.
No chin straps.
No chin straps.
Bye-bye. That was awesome.
We'll see you tomorrow.